Chris here today from Huckabones Equipment. In today's video we're going to be talking about excavators and how you might approach purchasing one, how you may look at it, and how you get the proper one. You get the right seat for the right butt kind of idea. So we're going to jump right to it and start off with how you narrow down your selection. When you start talking about the Kubota excavator lineup, there's always going to be two choices to start with. You're going to have the U series and the KX lineup. So what do those both mean? Well, the U is a zero or minimal tail swing. So very important whenever you're in tight spaces, means you can turn right on top of those tracks and get in between things, around things. Very important when you're doing foundation work or even in the bush kind of idea where you need a tight turning on top of itself. After that is the standard KX lineup. Quite a bit more popular, where it doesn't turn on top of its tracks. It gives you, well, the teeter-totter effect. It gives you more weight out the back so that whenever you're digging off to the side, it gives you more force that way and is the more popular unit. So both have their pros and cons. Also start small and get bigger. So in the U lineup, you can start with the mini one here. And there is smaller ones. There is the U10 and the K008. They're kind of in their mini excavator lineup where they don't really apply to the excavators that we're talking about today. So let's start with the U17, minimal size to it. It is in the U lineup. And so in the U lineup, you go U17, U27, and then the U35, U55. And there's a U48 in there as well, the newer model. And then the KX lineup, again, same idea. You're going from the KX18 and moving on up there all the way up to the 8-ton machine that you'll see down at the very far end. What does all that mean? Well, you know, whenever I say a U17, what does that mean? That's 1.7 ton. Again, whenever you start talking about tonnage, that's really important to deciding what may or may not work for you as well. So whenever you come into my office, you know, you're like, I am looking at excavators. First question I'm going to be asking you is, you know, what are you going to be doing with it? You know, if it's personal use or if it's construction use or commercial, it can vary a lot as to what rules you're kind of working with if you're looking to move it. If it's residential, you're like, you know, I've got 100 acres, I'm looking to play. Okay, after that, you can start at the U17 and go all the way up to the 080. Okay, so then it gets into what specific jobs are you going to be using with it? Okay, I'm going to be cleaning up my fence line. I do a little bit of cash cropping. I'm going to be maintaining trails. Okay, well, you probably don't need a big machine. You're going to be looking at a smaller machine, you know, anyway from a U17, U27, up to the KX33, and potentially, depending on budget, the 040. And you're like, well, actually, I'm going to be trailing it a little bit. Okay, well, now you're going to be down to a smaller unit, because if you're starting to move it, again, there's regulations which you're getting into with your trailer and the size of your truck and what your actual license, which you can actually tow with it all. So at that point, you're going to be KX33 and lower at that point. Okay, then you jump over, I'm actually in construction. Okay, what are you going to be doing with construction? You know, I'm going to be in and around housing, and then after that, I'm also going to be doing some landscaping, either it's hard landscape, soft landscape, so a multitude of different things. Well, you're probably going to be in that 040 range, and again, it may be a little bit smaller, just because of what those kind of descriptions are. After that is, you know, I'm going to be full construction, I'm going to be doing septic, I'm going to be out in the back 40, doing a lot of work for people, and I want to get it done quickly, and I'm looking for a bigger machine. Well, obviously you're going to be, you know, 040, 57, or an 080 is usually what you're going to be selecting at that point. So lots of questions come at you real quick about narrowing it down, which one you're looking at. So let's dive in a little bit more specifically about the U lineup and cab versus non-cab now. Okay, so we jumped around the side here again. I've explained what the U is. That means a minimal tail swing. 1.7, it means it's 1.7 ton. What does that really translate to you? So whenever you're thinking about that, that's roughly 4,000 pounds. So if you're going to be trailering it, you're going to have a trailer weight as well. So now you're all of a sudden up to towing around 6,000, 6,500 pounds whenever you include the trailer weight. So at that point, you know, you're going to need a tandem. You know, there's somebody out there going to say, well, I could put like an oversized load on this. Yeah, theoretically, yes, you could. But realistically, you're going to be looking at a tandem trailer to take that capacity. You're like, well, it's very small, you know, why do I need that? Well, that's what you need legally. There's no doubt about it. Just to get on the road, to do it legally, you're going to need a tandem, a small tandem trailer, because you're going to be towing around 6,000 pounds, 4,000 with this, and then 2,000 pounds with the trailer weight. So again, you're going to need a truck. At that point, like you're looking at the Tacoma. Well, it's kind of at the max of it. You know, I throw out Tacoma, but realistically, it's any small truck. You know, whenever you start thinking about it, you know, you have your Mavericks and Rangers and everything like that. In that world, you're going to want and should have probably a full-size truck, because you're at the upper limits of what those small trucks can do. And this is the smallest excavator that you could really have. And that doesn't even include, whenever you jump out front on that, what we have weight-wise. All those weights don't include a thumb and a couple buckets and whatever other attachments you're going to have with this unit. So we're going to move farther down the lineup here and talk about it whenever you actually jump over those limits, whenever you get over to the KX030 and the 33 and what that really means to you. But just to give you an idea, whenever you're talking about the smallest ones, you're going to need a lot of capacities there to move it around. So it does matter whenever you're out shopping around what you have to pull it and everything, because yes, the dealer will drop it off once, but you're gonna have to move it after that. So let's jump a little bit further down and talk about some of the bigger units. Okay, so we've moved up the lineup a little bit here. Again, these two units are here for a reason. Again, we have the KX030 and the 33. Whenever you start talking about these two units, this is the maximum you can have in Ontario under your G license. Again, I don't know about anywhere else. I can only just focus on Ontario. And again, with the disclaimer is these figures, I don't have a spec sheet right in front of me, so they might be off by a few $100 or something like that. But at the end of the day, these are the max you can have. So whenever you get up to the 030, so the KX is non-tail swing, and then the 33 is going to be 3.3 ton on that. So, and again, doesn't include a thumb, it doesn't include buckets. So whenever you get down to your G license, that is the max you can have. If you're going to take 2 buckets with you, one has to go in the back of the truck, and that just keeps you at the upper echelon of what you can carry with you. So just be mindful of that whenever you're getting up into these bigger ones, what you're going to need. Again, you're up to a 7-ton float to really move these legally and to keep everything safe and sound. So whenever you get up to the 7-ton capacity on that trailer, you're going to need a full-size truck, maybe even a 3/4 ton. So thinking about all that whenever you're thinking about excavators, because they sit small, but they do add up in weight. So just whenever you're thinking about it, whenever you go to your local dealership and start talking about excavators, just know what your capacities are and what you got to think about moving forward, because you're not just thinking about day one, you're thinking about 5-10 years down the line as well. So let's talk about a couple of bigger ones. Okay, so as we move farther down the lineup and you get into capacities for trailering and everything like that, moving them around, you should start seeing a customer actually understand that whenever they come in. They already know. They've moved these in the past. They've dealt with them. They are commercial based for the most part. And I'm more talking about your your KX57s and 080s of the world, because your U35s, 040s, that's a 7-ton float. But you are going to be over your legal limit in Ontario for your G license. So you're going to have a commercial license, which means a commercial truck, commercial trailer for the proper capacities be going down the highway. After that, you get into the 57s and the 080s of this world. U55s, again, you're going to be dealing with some bigger trailers and maybe a dump truck and a float kind of idea, and full commercial where they have a full understanding, hopefully, of how to move these properly. So that kind of finishes up a quick conversation about how to move these units around and how to safely do it and what you're going to be required to have or need to go down safely on the road. So let's jump about cab to non-cab. Whenever you're in the smaller units, usually you're going to see them open. They do make the KX18 cab, non-cab kind of idea. And you'll see it when you get up to the U27, same idea. We do sell mostly cab excavators. It's just the nature of it. Most people do like to get out there whenever it's rain or shine, cold or hot, and dig their holes. But it does come at a cost, there's always a budget at that point. Whenever you get up into the 18s, the 27s, and the 030, whenever it's cab or non-cab, so there's no air conditioning in those units. So they are smaller units, so that's how they just don't have the horsepower to run that air. So it kind of ebbs and flows there, whether you're looking for a cab or not. Again, because whenever you're just gaining heat, it's hit or miss on the customer whether it's needed or not. I personally enjoy having just the cab because, well, again, whether it's a day like today where it's only about 10 degrees out, or you get in the middle of summer where it's plus 30 out, it's nice having some coverage over you. It's nice being able to dig holes whenever you want. Whereas, especially in Canada, you know, you get into May and it's bug season, it's nice being a little bit out of those as well, whether it has the air conditioning or not. And again, whenever you deal with it as well, people that, you know, I don't want to take this into the bush, it might get all marked up, I might break glass. It doesn't really happen on excavators. Yes, you can break a door real quick and everything like that, but we just don't see glass being need to be replaced too often on these cabs. Whenever you get up into the bigger units, so I'm talking your, you know, your 040s of the world, your 57s and 080s, 90% of those, especially 040 and bigger, is going to be cabbed units. You're going to have your heat and air conditioning, and it's just going to be more comfortable, and that's what people are looking for. They're usually going to be a commercial unit, so people are looking to operate all day, every day kind of ideas. So they want to go rain or shine and be able to do that. So now let's jump to talking about the front of these units and what all you can put on it, with it be thumbs and buckets. So whenever you're dealing about attachments and options, there's always things to think about, right? So whenever you deal out front here, you're going to be dealing with buckets. And most people are going to be getting 2 buckets. Why 2 buckets? Normally you're going to be getting a digging bucket and a smaller one at that. Smaller digging bucket, that usually means it comes with teeth on the front here, just to help you that. Usually it's going to be about, it's always going to be sized appropriately, a few inches bigger than the thumb if you get a thumb. So it could vary with the smaller ones with you know, a 12-inch bucket up to a 16 or an 18, and then all the way up as you follow the line, there'll be sized appropriately digging buckets with them. After that is a ditching bucket. So again, smooth on the front, again, mostly made to move material and rather quickly. They're going to be larger and deeper to move more material quicker after that. Always strongly recommend getting a thumb with them. Whenever you get into user-specific needs, you may not need it, but I'd say probably over 95% of ours go out with thumbs on it. They just make quick work of material whenever you need to move it, especially if it's something that you're looking to do and play with. Again, whenever you get up into construction stuff, they may not be needing a thumb, but at the end of it, most of them will have it. One other option to consider, especially as you get up into bigger units, is angle blades. So you'll see just a few select ones here with the angle, but again, they're more on the bigger end. If you do have a choice, they're either going to be coming straight, angle, and then the 040 does have that 6-way blade mixed into the lineup. Strongly recommend, if it's a one operator machine, is getting that angle or 6-way blade. After that, if it's just multiple users and everything, straight blade is definitely the way to go. And again, maybe everybody deals with a budget, and straight blades are obviously cheaper than to go that way. So you definitely want to have a conversation with your product specialist as to what buckets are appropriate for what size unit, and whether a straight or an angle blade would be the one that you're looking at. So there's also a wide range of attachments out there. There's pretty much anything under the sun. You know, we have the Beaver Tech here. We got a grapple mounted down there from Wallenstein. Land Pride makes a full range of attachments for the front. There's augers available. My brain is froze up, but there is a multitude of different attachments you can get out there, and always want to have a conversation with your product specialist. One other thing to touch base with again is, if you're looking to transport these units around, is every time you get extra buckets and attachments in a cab versus non-cab or angle blades, is it's always going to add weight. So if you're up against the upper echelon of what you can carry, be mindful of that whenever you're thinking about it. Is this going to tip me over the scales where I'm going to need a bigger trailer or a bigger truck? So just always be thinking about that, and because the product specialist might not be. So that's just the nature of it. So that brings the end of today's video. I really hope that gave you some background knowledge to bring to your local Kubota dealership and have a conversation with, again, the product specialist, to really narrow down which excavator will help you out, which one will dig the most holes for you, which one you'll be able to move, and whether it'll work with your current truck, your trailer, your current situation, what you may or may not need moving forward. So that brings the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, please down below. Thank you.